Well, the night before, everybody calls you and says, my prayers are with you. You're in my thoughts. And I was like, God, it's like going to an execution. This is awful. But I was laying in my bed and I said, I'm going to try to sleep. I was just sleeping, but I was up because I knew, you kind of know what's going on. So I was up and the phone started ringing and everybody started calling and saying congratulations. And it was just very overwhelming. You pray all your life for these things and then it finally happens at this point. And it's just, it's kind of out of body. When I think of it, my whole body's on tingles. It's great.
Do you remember the first time you saw the Tonys, watched them on TV?
Well, I was just telling someone, I remember that at school, we had to look at them. They were part of the music theater test, so I remember looking at them and thinking, whoa, that's so much larger than those Tony things. It's like watching the Oscars. And, I remember watching Audra and seeing people on TV and just wondering, when would I even be in the building? And now here we go 3 years later and we're here. So it's very overwhelming. I'm touched and just very happy about the whole thing.
Are you having a good time with the show?
I'm having a great time at the show. We're having a great time in general. The audiences have been so good to us, so supportive, and just the reaction that they give us in the end is just worth everything. So we're having a great time. Everybody's in great spirits. We have all these babies coming. Everybody's pregnant. We have people pregnant in the show. Cast members, crew members are pregnant. So it's just like this whole rebirth going on, this birthing, this youth in the cast. So we're having a wonderful time.
Better to have lost him when the ties were barely binding. Better the contempt of the familiar cannot start. It's easy. It's easy.
It's not my field, really. I mean, I'm not really a singer or a dancer, and so it was, I had gotten nominated for the Outer Critics Circle and the Drama Desk already, and I thought, well, it's possible. But, it's always an incredible pleasure and surprise when it happens. So,
because you were so wonderful as Freddie in this show. And I was wondering what it was like working with this incredible ensemble cast.
Well, it was, intimidating in a lot of ways because, people like Dashiell Eaves and Sally Ann Howes and Marnie Nixon are, and Emily Skinner and Alice Ripley, they're really great musical theater stars, and I was constantly deferring to them, and looking to them to make sure that I was doing it right, so they were an immense amount of help and incredibly valuable. Brian Davies was so incredibly supportive of me, and Dashiell Eaves. I mean, to the very last performance, I was looking to him on stage to make sure I was doing it right. So it was intimidating, but it was also, immensely helpful, and they're wonderful people and incredibly talented performers. So I was very lucky.
They've been asleep since God knows when, and they'll soon be sound asleep again. They've been asleep since God knows when, and they'll soon be sound asleep again. You love church to sing, and you laugh to sing and sing. Who cares if you wake the neighbors? You love church to sing, and you laugh to sing and sing. Who cares if you wake the dead?
I think it's still becoming real for me. When I heard the news, I was in such a state of shock. I really couldn't believe it. I was yelling at my manager and said, "This is not funny. You should not joke about these things. Don't do that." And then he said, "No, you really did win the nomination." And I just sobbed. I have been on cloud nine ever since then. And to be in this wonderful community in my first Broadway show, it's just overwhelming. So I couldn't be more thrilled. And my mother is so thrilled to have 2 Tony-nominated daughters. So it's really a wonderful day for the Calloway family.
Do you remember the first time you watched the Tony Awards and how you felt?
Well, I was writing about this on the Tony website because I'm doing sort of a diary entry, and I remember feeling that the Tony Awards seemed more exciting in a way than the Oscars because the people seem more real and more artistic, and so the Tony Awards has always represented to me a particularly special group of people who put their heart into live performance. And to me, as I said in my website entry, the live performance is the most remarkable kind of performance art because so many risks are taken. Your soul is naked in front of thousands of people, and you don't know what could happen next. And so there's something about this community that I have tremendous love and admiration for, and I'm so thrilled to be so warmly welcomed by everybody.
this a dream come true for you? Tell me.
No, because this wasn't anything I actually dreamt of. This is beyond what I personally dreamt of. So it's not even a dream come true. It's sort of like a weird fantasy sci-fi moment.
Because this has had a wonderful journey. Tell me how this whole show of Dirty Blonde came about and how you got to Broadway.
Now a story that I've told a few times. I was in my kitchen, the phone rang, and it was James Lapine, who is, you know, a god in my country, and I had shaken hands with him once. I mean, that was the limit of our acquaintance, and he called me and said, would you like to work on a project with me? And I said, I would be the dirt for you. And he said, I don't think that'll be necessary. And that's how it started.
I'm the lady fair that the guys all crave. I've got a head of hair that just won't behave, but I know how to make a finger wave. I'm just a dirty blonde.
I'm so astonished after all these years to be getting a nomination. I've had such a lovely time doing what I love to do for a very long time, but this is really icing on the cake. It's so, so special, and I'm thrilled.
I've always looked so much younger than my age. It's an advantage in a way, of course, but one can't go on playing ingenues forever, can one?
It means that I have received the respect of my peers, which means everything to me. And for all these years of work, it's exactly what an actor, an actress wants, and I have it. And so I'm done. No, no, I'm just. It's really icing on my cake. My life is so full and wonderful. And The Rainmaker was a dream that I had when I was 15. I wanted to do it since I was 15 years old. And meeting Richard Nash and doing his beautiful play. So it's all amazing to me.
Laughing and teasing and setting up a racket. And how it would feel to say the word husband. There are all kinds of dreams, Mr. Starbuck. Mine are small, like my name, Lizzie.
When did they start actually airing the Tonys? Do you know?
I think 1967.
Oh, 1967. Oh, God, yes. I probably was about 12 or 13 the first time I saw them. You know, to me, that's the golden years, because that's what I remember as a child.
Have you picked your outfit out for this year?
No, I have not.
Well, you have 2 weeks to do that, and that's going to be a lot of fun for you.
No, it will not.
I'll try and control my envy for your Broadway flames. Suppose it's because I have a picture of them in my head, as small and dainty.
They're just gold-digging tramps.
Big, rough, ugly cowboy.
Shut up. You're beautiful.
Oh, God pity the blind.
You're beautiful to me, Josie.
I didn't think of it as a play that I was going to do at all. I never dreamed that I would get the chance to play Jim Tyrone, but it's always been there in some weird way in the back of my experience. Somebody saying, you should do O'Neill, you should do O'Neill. And I remember being very moved by that performance, Ian Bannon's performance, but I never dreamt that I would get an opportunity to play it, because once it was offered to me, I then read it and I became immediately terrified of it, because I thought, how am I ever going to do this? So
did you go back to read books that O'Neill had written?
No, I didn't watch the tapes, I didn't do anything. I believe that every actor brings the most precious thing that he brings to any role is himself. And it wasn't based on anybody, or I didn't do any research. I try to find it within myself.
Jennifer, tell me what you love the most about this play, please.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's changed over the years, and certainly it's changed over the last year of doing it. Different parts of it come into focus all the time. I fell in love with the language, I think, when I was 14, and then since then I fall in love with the echoes it has in my own life, and I now just love the characters and love playing Annie every night.
And being on Broadway in the same season with your mom, how that feels?
It's very exciting. I don't know how it would feel to not have her here, but it's very, very exciting.
But leaving that aside, there is still the problem that he can't write. He can burn things down, but he can't write.
For God's sake, Annie!
If it wasn't Brody, you'd never have got through it.
But it is Brody. That's the point. 2.5 years ago, he could hardly put 6 words together.
He still can't.
You pig!
A pig, and he can't put
Smash
6...
you when it's you who were bigoted.
Tell me what you love the most about this play.
Its wit, its humanity, its honesty, and the fact that it just has a kind of interior brilliance, which when you can bring it to life, an audience responds in a way that is magical.
It's a new show, it's a new play with music, and it's challenging and it's daring. So it's really nice that the nominating committee selected us, and it's a vote of confidence, and it's a vote of, I don't think it's just for the wild part, but I view it as a vote for, because Michael John's part of a new generation of new composers. I think it's like an affirmation for all the new artists who are creating musical theater, which I think is so extraordinarily important.
It is important because, it seems like season by season it's more revivals, and what kind of name can you put into something, and you actually created this musical from scratch.
Exactly, and I thought it's very important. So I think it's exciting, and it says, oh my God, the work is being nominated, but I think there's a larger agenda, which is if the landscape ever gets to the point that it can't nurture and embrace new work, then I think we're in a lot of trouble. So this is very, very exciting and very reassuring for me.
I need a lot of friendly stroking. There ain't no heaven and there ain't no hell, no turning back. Daddy, lock the door. Welcome.
Hold up yours. You have 4 of these.
I got 4, yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I'm very, very humbled by it all. Very happy for Wild Party. It was lovely to be acknowledged for Marie Christine. I was happy about that. The best score, best book. That's a bunch of nominations for that too. So it was quite a fun day. We're having a good time. Our girls are acting wild, which is great. We got Eartha and Tony here, and they're kicking it up back there, showing off their belly buttons, which is great. So pretty wild bunch.
What I think is wonderful about this is you are continuing the tradition of creating new musicals, because I think Broadway has sort of gotten to a funk where everything was a revival.
I don't think it's necessarily Broadway's fault or the producer's fault. I think that you've got a critical environment right now that doesn't allow for new stuff. But the old guard's changing, and it takes a long time for old white men to die. They go noisily, but eventually they do die, and they don't. I don't think it's Broadway's fault. I think producers are willing to be daring, but I think that there's the bottom line is economics, and I think people are fearful of bringing something too radical new. However, what this represents to a certain degree is that they were saying that this is okay, this is acceptable, this is something that, even though you might find it a listen or so, it's acceptable music and deserves to be on Broadway, which was a lovely and humbling acknowledgement for me. So I was happy about that.
I was thrilled that the nominating committee remembered the show. I'm thrilled I'm overjoyed that they remembered Michael John and really acknowledged his work. And, that they thought of me too is great, but for me it had more to do with the fact that the show got some acknowledgement.
Did you used to watch the Tony Awards growing up?
Oh yeah. I used to practice the speeches and watch and pretend that it was me up there. Absolutely.
So what was it like the first time when you went up there and actually won?
Only thing I can remember is shaking and then seeing Carol Channing's face. She was right in the front row and she was smiling really big, and it just made me feel better.
You've got 4 of them in your hands.
I do, 4. It's overwhelming, really. It's really overwhelming. But, I love both shows so much that I'm just completely honored that everyone else loves them too.
Have you been able to put this award season into perspective yet at all?
Well, I tell you, working on the shows and having them be embraced by the audiences is the real award for me. You never even think about this until after you're open, and then all of a sudden, chaos, But I'm thrilled to be honored this way and to be with all these other wonderful people. What's great about this luncheon, I never get to see these folks at the Tonys, but I get to brush up against them now, all the other nominees.
How does this one feel coming from Kiss Me Kate?
This is my first Tony nomination, so I am head over heels. It is the coolest thing ever, and just to be in this room with everybody that you admire and people you work with and people you want to work with or have worked with, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Did you used to watch the Tony Awards growing up?
Oh yeah, because there were only a couple places that you could see numbers from Broadway shows: the Jerry Lewis Telethon, the Tony Awards, and sometimes somebody would go on the Mike Douglas show, right, and sing a little song. But there weren't many places where they actually did, excerpts from Broadway shows. So it's really one of those, like falling down the rabbit hole. You just can't believe you're here.
Were you surprised at the number of nominations that your show got? Why?
It's just, especially to have 3 guys in one category, 3 in the featured actor category. 12 nominations, and I just couldn't believe it when somebody, said, and then I said, I can't, especially for a revival when you're not eligible for score and book and those categories. It was just a shock. But it was also so great to celebrate the whole show and to celebrate everybody's work and all the designers and our orchestrator and so many of the actors. It's so wonderful because it was such a joyous collaboration from the first day. So it's just the icing on the cake.